What would you do if I broke into your house?
Yo people, Katamari here. With the recent release of Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, or DRDR for short, Dead Rising is once again back on everyone's minds. Including mine, obviously, I'm making this fucking video. And it got me thinking of two DLCs that everyone but the most dedicated fans of the franchise have forgotten. Case Zero and Case West, a prequel and epilogue to the story of Dead Rising 2 starring Chuck Green and Frank West respectively, that were exclusive to the Xbox 360 via the Xbox Live Arcade. I remember playing the demos on my cousin's Xbox and wanting to know where the story went. I finished Case West later on, but I never did finish Case Zero, so you know what that means. Welcome back to Retrospective Rematch, a series where I go back to games I didn't beat or couldn't finish as a kid for one reason or another, and finish them for my own self-satisfaction. Case Zero and West were developed by Blue Castle Games and published by Capcom. Case Zero in August 2010, Case West in December 2010. Blue Castle Games were then turned into Capcom Vancouver after Capcom acquired them, only for Capcom Vancouver to then deliver onto us the just okay Dead Rising 3 and the horrible absolute dog shit that was Dead Rising 4. Oh, Keiji Inafune and Capcom. It feels like I'm in a fucking abusive relationship with you two. When I was a kid, I thought Keiji could do no wrong. Having Mega Man and Dead Rising be your autistic fixation was and is a rewarding experience until...
Leave me alone!
The pain only got worse when I played these two DLCs where it felt like it was made by someone who gave a fuck, or people who gave a fuck. I peered at a world of Dead Rising where the story was equal parts silly and serious, the gameplay was fun but still challenging, and the voice acting was not entirely ass.
Curious was here. Sure cleared out in a hurry.
Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days.
Fuck out. Get the fuck out.
I'm of the personal opinion that if the original voice actor is alive and it's for a franchise like this where it has a cult following, just hire the fucking OG. That's the least you could do. If it ain't TJ, I don't fucking want it. Matter of fact, if I ever do get the deluxe remaster, I think I'll look for a mod that just replaces the new voice actor's performance with the old one. No disrespect to the new one, I don't know him. But in my opinion, he's not fucking Frank West. He's not even Hank East. He's John Zombie. Okay? One disclaimer before we totally get stuck in. My totally real Xbox did not like playing these games. The performance was messy and the cutscenes would sometimes just stop and then play back and forth like a boomerang clip on your Snapchat or Instagram. I forget which of those apps has it. So, to remedy this, I went online, like everybody. Thanks to some YouTubers uploading cutscenes for these DLCs, I can still show you what's going on. If you see the characters in silly costumes or even with a hat, that's my footage. When it's the YouTubers, you'll see the characters in their default outfits, and I'll put their names in the lower left over here. If you want, go show them some love for helping your boy out. Everybody's channel links and all the videos I've used will be down in the description. And this is obvious, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm going to be spoiling, obviously, the story of these DLCs. Dead Rising 1 story, not all of it, and Dead Rising 2 story, also not all of it, just certain details. So if you know nothing about Dead Rising, why'd you click on this video? But also, maybe click off and go play the games if you don't want to get spoiled. Okay? Case Zero takes place a couple years after Dead Rising 1 and 4 years before Dead Rising 2. We play as Chuck Green, local motocross champion superstar who has to escape with his infected daughter from Las Vegas after it had a crazy outbreak of zombies. With plenty of Zombrex and a can-do attitude, Chuck and his daughter can deal with almost...
Hey! That's my truck! Stop!
God damn it! Can't have shit in Still Creek!
Daddy, there's a man over there.
Oh great, and the locals are here to rob me of everything else. Okay, so the Zombrex and the truck are gone. Katie needs her Zombrex, or else she'll die. So we gotta go off into this very small town to find some. Speaking of small, in terms of scale for a DLC, this is perhaps the smallest I've ever consumed. Still Creek, the map we're on, is small. The scale for money is downsized, so that's small compared to Dead Rising 2. You can only get to level 5, and even getting to level 5 is kind of annoying since the scale of XP gain is, guess what, small. Or at least it feels like it. But I will have to say this was made clear in the price of the DLC. Case 0, when you buy it, is $5 compared to Case West's $10. And anything you get here, like your levels, combo cards, and clothes, would carry on into your Dead Rising 2 campaign, or save file, however you want to say it. So I guess it's not too bad that it's small. That's what he said. Yeah, that's right, we're breaking gender norms here, baby. We leave the auto shop that Chuck has fortified, and we see this smoke that's like off into the distance. So we go walk over there, and we find a little military camp in the corner of town along with a junked ambulance. Ignoring the soldier's party trick of sleeping with your eyes open, Chuck reaches into the mystical unloaded chunk realm and finds Zombrex for Katie. Before we walk back to her, Chuck hears on the soldier's radio that the military is coming to Still Creek at 2100 hours, or 9 p.m. for you soft-handed liberals. If you're at all familiar with Dead Rising, or even zombie games and zombie media in general, you know the military ain't there to help. Well, that's a lie. They are there to help you into the grave. We need to get out of here. That much is obvious. Luckily, Chuck works that chunkomancy again and loads in a broken motorbike that he can fix up and use to escape with his daughter. We bring back the broken motorbike to the auto shop and we make a list of what exactly the bike needs. We also check on Katie, and she's not doing so hot. She's asking for Zombrex, but we can't give it to her just yet. And before we go any further, I feel like now is a perfect time to explain what Zombrex even is. Dead Rising's universe has a medicine that prevents people who got bit or infected from turning into zombies. Zombrex. Every 24 hours, Katie needs her Zombrex, or, well, she turns into a zombie. Which brings up a little interesting question that I was thinking of while I was writing this script. Chuck needs 1 dose of Zombrex every day for his daughter, and this game is the beginning of her infection, give or take. So how many doses has Chuck gotten Katie so she can continue living? Like I said earlier, Case 0 takes place 4 years before Dead Rising 2, where Chuck has his, debut. There are 365 days a year, so doing some super duper simple math that I'm not totally using it out for.
Calc is short for calculator.
That means Chuck has somehow gotten Katie a total of 1,825 doses a day for 5 years until you start Dead Rising 2, give or take, if we assume Case 0 begins at the beginning of the year. No joke, father of the fucking decade. When we leave the safe house, we see the first survivor we can rescue in Still Creek. Meet Dick. Now, why is he called that? Well, even though we just saved his life from a bunch of zombies that would have torn his old ass limb from limb, he charges us for Zombrex, a wheel, and for information or hints on where motorbike parts are.
Fucking dick!
I buy some info just to get an idea where to start, and Dick so helpfully points us toward the hotel where we can get a key to a shed where we get the bike forks. Oh yeah, there's this guy named Bob looking for his daughter, and he's on the roof shooting zombies. He won't come with you until you tell him where his girl is, and I never found his daughter, so I guess Bob fucking died. So we got one part, we need some more. We go out again to get the rest, and I walk past the gas that we need. I will then proceed to shoot it because I'm sub-average intelligence. Don't you know, intelligence is a dump stat. Using my 9 perception, however, I can see the names of survivors through the walls of this bar and walk inside. Gemini and Fausto are a couple that are, needless to say, having the worst fucking day of their lives. They left behind a lot of cash while escaping from Vegas, and all they have now is whatever's in Gemini's case. Gemini's willing to come along, no strings attached, but Fausto, big man over here, wants to be good and drunk before going. So we give him more of the fire water and he throws up. Classy. Just like your local frat bro. So we lead Gemini and Fausto back to the safe house where, as thanks, Gemini gives us some money from her case.
Nice, very nice.
Using the money that we got from Gemini, I buy a wheel from Dick for $5,000.
Wait, 5,000?
I walk around Still Creek, get Chuck a zoot suit, and then practice my insect magic by throwing a queen at the zombies, making their heads pop. Oh yeah, since that seems random, I should explain. In the Dead Rising universe, zombies are made by having these special little bees/wasps, I think they're wasps, infect people. It was a method the US government from the first game were using to try and get more cattle for consumption of hammy burgers. It's more complicated than that, but here's the logic. Wasp stings cow and implants eggs in cow. Cow then gets the munchies and eats more even when they're full to feed the eggs. Cow gets fat and juicy for consumption. This idea, as you can see, obviously went horribly wrong. It created zombies and devastated the town of Santa Cabeza, where two notable figures, Carlito and Isabella Keys, lived. As revenge, Carlito and his sister would come to America and picked Colorado for some fucking reason. I guess fuck Colorado. And went into the Willamette Mall to start a zombie outbreak using these wasps. That's basically the plot of Dead Rising 1. A lot more shit is in there. All this to say is if you find a wasp queen and you smash it, the parasitic wasp larvae in the zombies freak the fuck out and die, also killing their host. Back to searching for motorbike parts, just like the common specimen of the Tennessee crackhead, I find an engine in a random alley and decide, fuck it, it's mine. That's another part down. While walking around, I walk past the gas again. Exploring the town, I decide to wear some overalls and go bowling. I go back to Dick to buy some more info, and god damn it, Dick, I already got that one.
Why can't you just go fuck yourself?
To help with my frustration, I wear some pretty clothes and get a nice mohawk. Still looking for motorbike parts, I wander around aimlessly, eventually falling into the hunting store that we'll need later. I change into a hunting jacket, quickly turning me from punk icon Chuck Green Day into Chuck Green, Stormer of Capitals, banned off of Facebook. After being lost and not finding any parts for like 20 minutes, I finally look up where the last two parts are. I know, I'm not a real gamer, I caved and I used Google. The gas, well, we know where that is, I kept walking past it like a dumbass. But the last part needed us to reload the level. So we go back to the safe house and exit back into town to reload the level, and we find two motocrossers fighting off zombies. Jason and Archie here are fans of Chuck, and they have the last part, Jason specifically. But even though they're fans of us, Jason won't give us the handlebars until he gets a broadsword, which we can get from the hunting store we opened earlier. So we have the handlebars and we lead Jason and Archie back to the safe house. Now with all the parts that we need, we fix up the motorbike. Our escape now secured, we just need to wait to give Katie her Zombrex, and then we can finally leave Still Creek.
Hey, sweetie. I've got your medicine.
There. Now we can...
Who the fuck is this?
In Dead Rising, there are mini-bosses called Psychos. Say hello to Case Zero's one and only Psycho, Jed. He wants our daughter as a weird fucked up trophy, so obviously, we gotta beat Jed's ass before we can leave. Since this DLC was designed with a level cap of 5, Jed is super easy. Who the fuck is this, a Psycho? What the fuck? Okay, more like he's easy when you're prepared with food and weapons. Quick, think of something witty. Jed, more like, fucking dead.
Boo! You stink!
With Jed dead, Chuck and his daughter get on the bike to leave, only to be interrupted by the military. Remember them? We quickly dip and dodge through the armed forces until we finally escape and leave Still Creek behind. Later on, we see that my clothes and haircut for Chuck are gone as we watch the ending cutscene.
Where my clothes at?
While leaving, we see that Chuck's truck is left on the side of the road and we see that the robber is dead inside. Maybe God is real. We get Katie's backpack and the rest of our Zombrex, and we put on our iconic racing jacket that we see Chuck in Dead Rising 2. And then we ride off into the sunset, ready for Case West. Oh, also, there were like 3 other survivors I did not rescue. Apparently they spawned in the bowling alley, but I didn't find them. So, I will remember you. Fuck 'em, who cares? Now, Case West, as mentioned earlier, takes place right after Dead Rising 2. So, for some context, Chuck Green is framed for the Fortune City outbreak. People basically think he released a bunch of zombies into the city when in reality it was a company called Phenotrans that caused the outbreak as a way to harvest the wasp queens we learned about earlier. Although there are multiple endings to 2, the Case West DLC seems to go off of ending A with a little bit of a caveat. In ending A, Chuck, Katie, and Stacy Forsythe, a key character in 2 who helps you locate survivors and is also the leader of some hippie organization looking for the humane treatment of zombies, you all get to the roof of the safe house to escape from Fortune City on a helicopter before it's bombed to absolute hell by the military. Unfortunately, Chuck goes back for Katie's backpack and gets held up by a zombified Tyrone King, one of the villains in 2, along with other zombies that, distract him. Chuck throws Stacy Katie's backpack and charges her with taking care of his daughter. Stacy then leaves with Katie and the evidence proving Chuck's innocence is released by her while also revealing Phenotrans' evil plan. This ending is meant to be sort of open-ended on whether Chuck survived or not. But Case West changes this ending a bit with the little asterisk that Chuck didn't have the evidence needed to prove his innocence and is instead forced to work with Frank West, the protagonist of the first game. Frank's got a source in a Phenotrans facility where they can hopefully get the proof Chuck needs to prove his innocence and the scoop that Frank wants to show the world. Now, Case West, unlike Zero, doesn't have you starting at level 1. Instead, you start at level 40. It makes sense. You just got done with like the main game. This is the epilogue. Of course you're going to be level 40. And that also means that you don't carry anything from West back to 2. If you're playing by yourself like I was, then you'll be Chuck Green with an AI Frank, which is kind of awesome since even when you're by yourself, you can force Frank to dress silly with you. Oh, and Frank is invincible, by the way. Through my short playthrough, I never saw Frank go down. He got hit a lot, sure. He got hit by me, by the zombies, by me, by Phenotrans guards, by me, but he never went down as far as I could tell. This means that, for the most part, West was pretty fun and carefree. At least until the end, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so you and the washed up has-been zombie slayer journalist are in the middle of the desert, looking at a facility. What to do? Sniff his ass, obviously. But then God gets angry with your metrosexual tendencies and dumps you into the local Fent rehab. Acting like a middle-aged crisis victim in a punk mosh pit, I just start beating on the innocent until I'm satisfied. We leave and, since I was playing off the record recently, I tried taking some candid photos of this security guard to net some easy PP, like an attractive woman netting simps off social media with a hint of her, bare ankle. But he doesn't take too kindly to my journalistic activities and we ruin his life. Just like the real paparazzi. Tobey Maguire, you ain't fucking ready for me, dog. I act like a 3-letter agency and give a politically compromised white man a gun. Then we head up these stairs into the security office where Chuck pulls off 2 marvelisms at once. First, he makes a fool of himself.
There's just one guy. Hey, buddy. Who the hell are you? Listen, you just keep quiet, all right? We don't want to hurt. Oh, shit. There's just one guy.
And then, he dives away from the gunfire like Jeremy Renner diving away from relevance. Heyo! We kill the guards quickly, and suddenly the facility is overrun by zombies, thanks to Frank's source, who's talking to them through this terminal. In order for us to get the ball rolling on Chuck's innocence and Frank's story, we need to run a few errands for this source. They give us a map and ask us to first enter access codes into 2 computers so that this source can download info about the facility to give to us. Similar to Dead Rising 1 and 2, Case West has you fighting humans a lot, alongside, the zombies. The humans in Case West have guns, electric prods, and special weapons. They're not that bad, and near the middle to the end of my playthrough, I found that Chuck has the perfect combo to kill the human enemies super fast. With the exception of, Mr. Bulldozer over here from Payday. Chuck can do this move where you palm someone's face and then throw them away from you. If they don't die by having the back of their head smashed by a railing or a wall, then you can pick them up by their legs and then slam them again on the back of their head. It's pretty powerful. After entering the codes, Frank and Chuck go back into the office and tensions are kind of high.
So what's this evidence, Frank, huh? What's it show and when do we get it?
It must show what's going on in this place, but he needs time to download it. Let's get the hell out of here and meet up with him later.
I still need proof that I was set up in Fortune City. Look, you might have your big story now, Frank, but I'm a dead man if we don't find some evidence that clears my name.
He says he'll try to figure something out.
Try, huh? Yeah, that's great. I'll figure it out myself then.
I want to take them down just as much as you do. You must believe me.
We need to kill some time, so we leave and here's where we rescue our first survivor, Hernando. And this is where we see Case West differ from Dead Rising 1 and 2, even Case 0. Once you rescue people in Case West, they just kind of run off into the nothingness, kind of like 3. Sure, some people ask for stuff, but once they're good and ready, they just leave. We still got time until we can move on with the main story, so we go ahead and search for Hernando's friend, Lisa. Call me a fisherman because we keep getting red herrings. Little notes that say, Lisa ain't here. Love, Lisa. Oh, what a sweetie. Up until the final one where we find her in the living quarters. Living quarters where I guess not only the scientists and workers lived in, but P fucking Diddy. Still got time to kill, so I kill it with zombies and combo weapons. Also, accidentally zapping Frank a bit. It's finally time for Frank's source to give us more info. So we get back into the office. Chuck and Frank talk about how the facility is a zombie farming operation. With gas, Fenotrans collects queens from the zombies seemingly to make more zombies. But, why though? The source suddenly comes in and tells Chuck and Frank that maybe in the director's room they'll find evidence to both clear Chuck's name and answer what exactly is going on here. Chuck gets antsy and asks the source who they are, but then they terminate the connection. We make our way to the director's office. We get the key card for it pretty easy, and on the way there we rescue this guy named Robert. All Robert asks for is an AR, but since I don't fucking like Robert, I gave him one that only had 2 shots left. Good luck surviving, Slobbert, you fuck. Right before the office, I make Frank cosplay as Dr. Wily.
Knock it off.
What? You don't like Mega Man?
Fuck you!
In the office, we see that there's a list of missing people, homeless, or prisoners here, or as we quickly find out, a list of zombie cattle used to harvest queens. Queens, in case I didn't say it earlier, are essential to making Zombrex. Frank gets frustrated over the fact that the medicine he needs to prolong his life, because he's infected, is being made by zombifying others, and he throws his Zombrex against the wall, which causes the alarm to go off. The facility then sends over the rip-off Payday bulldozers. But, unlike bulldozers in Payday, these guys ain't shit. After we kill them, we have to fool the guys on their radios.
Yeah, we had a slight alarm malfunction up here. All's clear, situation normal.
Wait a minute. Bulldozers? Fooling people on the radio?
Yeah, we had a slight alarm malfunction up here.
You've reached Steve. He's unavailable at the moment. Leave your number at the beep. Beep!
There's more comparisons to Payday here than I thought. The source needs to override the now heightened security, and so we gotta kill time again. While wandering around, we see a woman named Regina being harassed by zombies, but before she lets us save her, she asks for human organs to sell. And, I don't know about you, but I don't really fuck with organ harvesters, unless it's me in RimWorld. The next story mission is gonna take a while because our source is trapped in a lab somewhere. So, until we can access it, we gotta make the time go by. I just went around preventing the dead from rising. With grenades duct taped to a football, with electric prods duct taped to a floor buffer, with my fist duct taped to my wife. The usual. Brief disclaimer about incoming flashing lights. Chuck and Frank are waiting to hear back from the source, and before they can have another argument, the source messages to them some good and bad news. Good news, they have our evidence downloaded. Yay! Bad news, they're still trapped. No! Chuck suggests cutting the power, and the source adds on that Frank and Chuck could easily do that by being fucking terrorists. They want us to plant C4 and blow up some generators. We quickly get both the C4 and its detonator, and I brutally make sure a blue-collar worker can never go back home to his family. We blow up the generators, have a bro moment, and now we head towards our source to get both them and our info out. But we're hit with some crazy events. Turns out Frank's source is Isabella Keyes, remember her? One of the two people from Santa Cabeza that are responsible for the Willamette outbreak in Dead Rising 1. Isabella redeemed herself, however, in that game by saving Frank's life and helping him defuse the infection bombs from exploding that her brother Carlito, the other person from Santa Cabeza, remember him, set up in the mall. But even with all that history, Frank gets mad and confused as to why Isabella would be working for Fenotrans. She explains that she basically had no choice. It was either work for Fenotrans or go to jail. While working there, she tried to move the company away from using queens to make Zombrex, instead attempting to invent a synthetic formula. But the company and its grody villainous CEO decided not. Keeping the synthetic formula for herself, the CEO reveals that she's using queens merely to continue profits. Create a problem and offer a solution. Capitalism 101. Isabella tries to help us, but then gets knocked out by the one and only Psycho in Case West. Meet Commander, at least that's what they call him in game. His actual name that we see in the Dead Rising comic, Road to Fortune, is Harjeet Singh? I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I butchered it. I'm just gonna say Harjeet. So before we get into the boss battle, in the comic it's revealed that Harjeet was the mastermind behind the Fortune City outbreak. This tall mofo is the reason why Chuck's wife got bit, and it's also the reason why Katie is infected. The funny thing is that they never make this obvious in the game, so Chuck never finds out that after this boss battle, he accidentally avenges his wife. It makes me think if Capcom knew that they wanted to make Harjeet the mastermind behind the Fortune City outbreak, or if, the DLC was made before the comic. I don't know, it's just interesting to think about. Anyways, I remember Harjeet being the reason I couldn't beat Case West fully. I know I said earlier I finished it, but I had help and I don't count that. After fighting him myself, I can conclude that it's all because Harjeet is harder when you're in co-op. That's why we barely beat him. You have to have someone distracting Harjeet while you take care of the random enemies that spawned in or whatever. And I remember things would fall apart if even one of us was downed or we got distracted by grunt enemies with guns. But, again, in single player, Frank is invincible and doesn't need to be revived. And so I did this MMO style. Frank the tank and Chuck the DPS. Frank would distract Harjeet while I got hits in, killed grunts, or healed. Which took a while because, for some reason, Harjeet is the only boss in all of Dead Rising history, at least to my knowledge, to have 3 health bars. I thought this was Dead Rising, not Mega Man X, Keiji, you kusoge making fucker. But, when all is said and done, Harjeet had a big mouthful of wasp ass. Side note, Harjeet's theme goes fucking hard. Listen to it if you can. After beating Harjeet, Isabella gets abducted by Fenotrans, and the CEO reveals that she's going to blow up the facility and start another outbreak somewhere else. Chuck wants to stay and find the cure that the CEO mentioned that she used to save herself. Frank, however, convinces him that they don't have time, and they need to leave. Chuck is hopeful, bitterly so, that there is a cure for his daughter somewhere out in the world, and he tells Frank, while giving him his Zombrex, that the world needs him. They have another bro moment and stare off into the sunset where the destruction of the factory remains. And, well, that was Case West. It feels good to finally experience both of these DLCs again and to finally beat them on my own. Especially considering that they're kinda excluded from everyone unless you've got an Xbox or, like me, you emulate it. Hopefully Capcom sees the success of Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster and decides to make, DRDR2 with the DLCs added on. I want to say thank you to the creators and YouTubers for their uploads of the cutscenes or just stuff I use to make jokes. Again, that was a big help. Their links and channels are in the description if you want to, show them some love. And if by some crazy chance the people who worked on these DLCs and Dead Rising in general see this video, I appreciate your work. It was very slight, but I did appreciate the camaraderie and slight brotherhood Chuck and Frank develop in Case West. And everyone loves an origin story, so Case Zero was awesome. And with that, I'm gonna say one last thing. It's always good to have a friend in your corner. Life is crazy with its twists and turns. It sometimes feels less like a roller coaster and more of an endurance test. Can you hold on? Can you survive? These are some hard questions, but the way I see it is, if Frank West could last 3 days in a zombie mall, if Chuck Green could do any and everything for his daughter while still finding time to help people, and if you can just get out of bed and wake up tomorrow, then anything is possible. You'll always have someone in your corner. You'll always have the strength to make it to tomorrow, zombies or not. You just gotta make sure to be there. Because even if you don't notice it, we're all waiting for you. We're all here for you. Thanks for being here. My name is Fourheadweapon. My friends call me Katamari. You can call me whatever you want. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget the bell if you want to be hit up anytime your boy uploads. And with that, I'll catch y'all later.